Hi there, and welcome to the ATS podcast with me, Will Brown, and John Soulsby, where we break down chunks of health and fitness information into bite sized pieces, remove a bunch of the noise, and just leave what's relevant. Today we are on episode number 18. The topic for today is establishing meaningful values. What is that? What does it even mean, and how do you do it? But first up is the off topic we usually warm up with, and today's off topic is why do we train?
Yeah. I suppose why I train at the moment is because for me, I don't really have like a strength training goal at the moment. It's not really something that I'm like looking to pursue to be like I'm not like I want to squat 200 or whatever, but it's more I have an inherent belief in the benefits you get out of strength training. So I'm kind of doing 2 or 3 sessions a week for those benefits because I literally to my like one of my core beliefs is the benefits you get from it. So I'm keeping up with it. Is effectively why for long term health.
Nice. I'll I'll steal a quote off a modern day scholar, Kyriakos Grizzly, and just say I train for the difficult.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I. How deep do we go on this? Can I sum this up reasonably well without going on a rant or like an off-topic tangent? I train because I think and I believe that the transformative nature of resistance training is one of the easiest in terms of accessibility things to get involved with to make you kind of fully comprehend what you are capable of. I think it's something that a lot of people find sports popular for, but I think it's specifically apparent in weight training. Like you can realistically transform yourself in a bunch of different ways to the point where your relatives will think like, who the hell is this person now? Um, through absolutely nothing but work. Like there's no like you can't nepotism your way. I mean genetics kind of are that, but like you can't realistically nepotism your way to success in resistance training. Like no one can do it for you. You kind of just have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And it is
Yeah. There's no shortcuts. There's no.
yeah, there's no shortcuts. Like there is just the work. And a lot of people are very focused on goals. A lot of people have things they want to tick off, they want to do. Um, and yeah, realistically, I'm kind of past all of. I'm not past like setting goals. I'll obviously set myself stuff to do. Um, but I don't really care about them as much as I care about just training. Like I just
Yeah.
train because it is hard. Like,
Yeah. And actually, where did I read this week? But it's something. It was essentially like about talking about falling in love with the journey of something rather
mm,
than an outcome. Because if you fall in love with an outcome, you're kind of you're going to maybe get there or not, and then but then once you do, you might just stop. Whereas if you fall in love with the journey, all the outcomes just happen, and you're going to put far more effort into, in this instance, training every week.
yeah, like I've talked about it before in that like one of the hobbies is one of the things I do in my spare time is I paint. Um, a lot of people get very attached and like focused on like the kind of final product, like the finished thing. But if you talk to anyone that paints, loads of people will be like, "Well, how do you know when it's finished?" Like people run entire workshops on like when to stop, essentially, because
Yeah,
you could play about with it forever. Like you could just rework it and work it and work it and work it and never be done. Part of it like developing is learning when to call it quits and just be like, it's good enough, it's done,
Yeah.
get rid of it. Like I take that to what most would call a sadistic level, where I will literally just get rid of stuff. I will sell it for as much as I paid for it. Like I add absolutely no value. I just want rid of it because I'm like all the things, like all of the benefit was in the process of me painting a thing. Like
Yeah.
the decisions and learning and judgment that I made on the way is what is getting me better, not having this thing. Also, I dislike things taking up space.
Yeah,
So,
I think especially in the miniature painting scene, like if you kept everything you painted, you would need a very large like
oh,
storage
it's
space for all
easier
that.
because everything's really small. Like imagine if they were all canvases.
Well, that's very true. Yeah.
It'd be huge. If everything was like A3, it would take up even more space.
Yeah.
The but yeah, so I very much think the like it obviously has the health benefits to training and stuff like, but I don't really care. Like I like the health benefits, but it's not why I do it. Like I think the main one is that it's something that is consistently challenging that you can always rely on to be challenging.
Yeah.
Um, going into the topic of establishing meaningful values. This might sound a bit hand wavy, a bit hippy dippy, like, but it's part of what would you call it? School of, or like a school of thought, like an intervention style in not just sports psychology, but psychology in general, called ACT, which is acceptance commitment training or acceptance commitment therapy. In our context, I prefer training because therapy has certain connotations to it that aren't very popular with dudes. Not
Hmm.
because there's anything wrong with them, just because dudes are idiots.
Also
Again,
true.
yeah, if you're a dude listening to this being like, meh, 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 mental health, fucking kids these days, so soft, meh, 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 meh. Like, if you would go to a physio for like a knee tendonite, like knee tendinopathy or something like that, like if you'd go to a physiotherapist, again, think about the end of that word, for a muscular injury, going to a like well, psychotherapist, like a therapist, for a brain injury or a brain problem, pretty much the same
Not
thing.
not that bad. Yeah.
Really not that mad. Like, if you're like, oh wow, like I've tried everything that I found online and I just can't shake this elbow tendinopathy, maybe I need to see a professional.
No.
Same deal. If you're like, god damn, I like have really tried everything online and I just can't stop thinking that I can't be arsed like going on with everything. It's just too much. Probably go see a fucking therapist, bro. Like, get your shit sorted out. It is the most optimal route. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, meaningful values is a term used in acceptance commitment training where uh, the way I explain it to people is everyone wants a six pack until someone shows up with free pizza. Uh, because it is extremely difficult, nigh on impossible, to turn down free pizza because it's free and pizza's delicious. Um,
Yeah.
so you literally have no fallback. You're not just like, nah, I can't really afford takeout this week. Like I'm being sensible. But if someone shows up at your door with free pizza that's good pizza, it's not like burnt. It's not like a Chicago town. It's like one of them fancy ones with all these weird toppings. You're not like it's going to take a lot more willpower to turn that shit down. And if all you want is like, oh, I just kind of want to look hot, like, yeah, I want a six pack, like, I just want that fuck boy energy or fuck girl energy, whatever. It's just not going to stand up against a free pizza. Like, it's just not. It doesn't compare. Meaningful
Yeah, you have
values.
to be incredibly driven on your six pack if that's
Yeah, that has to mean
if
a
that's going to
lot to
stand
you
up.
if it's going to stand up to free pizza.
Which is also fine if it does, but
Oh
not
yeah,
not
that's
many people are.
it's totally fine. It's just not many. Like
Yeah.
my point is that everyone, lots of people want to like change how they look aesthetically, like achieve different body composition, get to a body composition they currently aren't at, like essentially look better wearing no clothes. But that doesn't really stack up in the decision making process in this like free pizza example. However,
Yeah.
establishing a meaningful value essentially is giving you something that does stack up against free pizza. Like, which is why the conversation also gets very deep, meaningful quite quickly. because you're essentially like a meaningful value for someone who exercises might be like, I want to remain healthy and independent for as late into my life as possible, and regular strength training and exercise, as well as being a healthy body fat composition, is going to let me do that. Like, I'm not going to be someone who's got type 2 diabetes in their 50s or is pre diabetic in their 40s and, like, might have to get a leg removed or might get gout or whatever the hell's going on. Like, any of that kind of stuff, which isn't a meme. Like, that happens. Like, it does happen a lot. Like, what was the statistics for 2019 in Scotland? 60,
I was like 65% of people
60,
are
64 are either
overweight or obese.
overweight or obese. And before everyone jumps on being like, it's BMI, brr, 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 brr. Like, BMI isn't so bad that a large percentage of that slips through the radar. Yes, muscular people who weigh a lot slip through as obese or overweight. But how many, like, I mean, obviously everyone who listens to this lifts or is exercising. So you know mostly people who exercise. But, like, do you realistically know more people who exercise than people who don't? Like,
Yeah, and there's also something like if you squat body weight, you're in like the top 5% of the population or something.
yeah, like the
So like
the
the
vast
amount of people that are obese because they're jacked is very small.
yeah, I realize it might seem like a lot because you know loads of them. Is my fire alarm? Can you hear that?
I can't. Yeah.
Minted. Right, hella pause.
Is the house on fire?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, we're back. Sorry for that
So
brief interlude. Um,
not.
the fire alarm went off and then my coat fell off a coat hook, so clearly we have ghosts.
Yep.
Um,
Only answer.
yep, the only possible answer. Meaningful values, essentially establishing a value that will dictate or let you make uh, choices that will lead you towards a happy and meaningful life. It's been used heavily in clinical interventions regarding like drug rehab, smoking rehab, like getting people off of the drink, off the smoking, off drugs. Cause unsurprisingly, when you stack up, like it takes a lot to convince somebody or to give people like something to weigh up against their next fix. Like that's really difficult, especially when there is like a chemical dependency. There's no chemical
Yes.
dependency with food, apart from the fact that you do need it to live. But everyone, like
Everyone does.
almost everyone, is not in a situation where they're risking starving to death. Otherwise, you should not be listening to a random fitness podcast. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you establish a meaningful value. You attempt to tunnel down into your own brain and find out what is actually meaningful to you. Like, why do you want to be fit and healthy? Why is that important to you? For some people, it will be like seeing their kids get married, like not being healthy enough so that they do not become a like they do not need their kids to become dependent, like they do not become dependent on their kids as carers or
Yeah.
need like additional support. They lose independence. Like, hopefully, we're not coming across as the idea that you like if you thought you might get to 70, fitness training will get you to 80. Like, it won't. You'll get to whatever you get to, but the point is that the entire time that you're getting there, your chance of being like infirm and losing your independence and ability to do essentially whatever you want is much less.
Yeah, you're just tipping the scales more in your favor that you're gonna be fitter and healthier for as long as possible.
Yeah, you're trying to stack the deck and do some of that delayed gratification. It's like the ultimate, well, not the ultimate, but it's close to like
Yeah.
because you're never gonna see the benefits because things are just gonna continue.
Yeah.
Like you're
I
just
think like yeah, quite often it's like almost touted that being training and everything will make you fit and healthy for the entirety of your life. It's like it would really, but it will tip the scales massively in your favor if you are.
yeah, it really will. But yeah, establish a meaningful value is essentially tunnel down and ask yourselves why you can literally do it just by being like a 2-year-old and or a 3-year-old and just asking why over and over again. Of
Mhm.
like, I want to get like, I don't want to be my current levels of body comp. Like, I don't want to have this much body fat. Okay, why? Well, like it's like I don't like it. I don't like how I look. I dislike how clothes feel. I dislike the difficulty of finding clothes. Like I also don't like the fact like I get out of breath walking upstairs. Like I get out of breath tying my shoes, whatever it happens to be. And you're like, okay, why? Cause I feel like I should be able to do all those things, and it's fucking depressing and shameful that I can't, or that's how I feel. Okay, why is that? Like, why do you not want that? And it's like, well, because I don't want to live like that. Like, I want to be better. Like, I want to fully realize like the potential of like what I could do if I just made all the right choices and was healthy. And you're like, all right, cool. Why is being healthy important? Oh, because I want to maintain independence and health throughout my life. Like, I want to be there for people who need me. I want to be reliable. I want to be around. And I don't think I can do that if I carry on how I'm doing it currently. Okay, cool. That
Yeah.
sounds pretty meaningful. That stacks up a lot better against free pizza than I just kind of want to look hot.
Totally
Like,
agree. Or even just like I kind of want to lose some body fat.
yeah, whatever. Like the kind of surface reason
Yeah.
won't is just
I
surface.
and yeah, I think as well is that if you don't go down to the more meaningful values, it's like the classic. Oh, I'll start next week is very easy to do.
Yeah, like
Where you're like,
the perfect time to start is now. Like you can
yeah,
just take action whenever. Like if you establish meaningful values, you can just put that up against every choice. Like if you've ever seen the Big Bang Theory episode, I know it's cringe, I know it's terrible, but like
mm,
where Sheldon gets bored of making decisions, so he essentially just rolls a d20 like a dice to
yep,
decide everything. It's like kind of like that. Like it is essentially like having your own magic 8 ball that just spits out the correct answer every
yep,
time. Although the 8 ball does make me think of that. It's the meme from The Simpsons where Homer Simpson's like, "Magic 8 ball, am I stupid?" And then it turns to the ball and it's a bowling ball instead of
yeah,
instead of a magic 8 ball. I'm like, I do like that one a lot. But yeah, like you essentially just come to a decision. You're like, "Oh, my friends have invited me out to dinner. I want to go, but I also want to like I'm currently trying to improve my body composition, lose a bit of fat because it's beneficial for my health to do so. But I also don't want to KB my friends because my friends are also important." You're like, okay, cool. Well, I'm sure your friends will understand if you go out and just want to have a main course and no dessert and no alcohol. Just because you want to sit down, enjoy a meal, like have some decent chat with your friends, have a laugh, but you also don't want to go overboard. Yeah,
yep.
they'll probably completely get that because they're your pals. Like they should. If they don't, then get new pals.
It's getting you pals.
Um, and that's like a fair compromise that kind of works for both of you.
Yeah,
Like, because both are important. But yeah,
yeah,
it's
and you don't
just
want to just become someone who literally never leaves the house because
yeah,
you're
that's no
trying
good
to.
either. Like yeah, it just helps you make a lot of these decisions when they're going to be really difficult.
Yeah,
And yeah, you can read more about establishing meaningful values on our website. We have a blog about how to do it and everything.
we do indeed.
Uh, and that is us for episode 18. Peace.
Catch you later.